minutes and we will start with the session. Okay, once again, good afternoon. So we'll move on with today's session. So in the previous two sessions, we have got some points which are more or less relevant to all programming languages. So whatever that we have discussed in the first two sessions is accountable for all kinds of programming languages. So now from today's session, we are completely focusing on the programming language called as Python. Okay, so day three, we are starting off with Python programming, and for the first 2 days, you would have worked out MCQ and Digital Cafe. From day three, you will be concentrating only on writing programs with respect to the language Python. Okay, so I will just brief. These are the contents that we are going to discuss in today's class. So we'll have an introduction about Python programming, a very simple introduction about Python programming, and directly we will move on with the basics of Python programming. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss in today's class. So without wasting your time, I will move on with the introduction of Python. So this point I've already discussed with you why we are starting our programming language learning from Python. So why Python ends up with many answers. That is, I know where people from various discipline are sitting over here, and there can be participants who are coming across programming languages for the first time after finishing their UG degrees. They would have seen writing a program, they would have done of developing a program during their UG, or even for certain disciplines they would have done even in their PG. But after a long time, I think you will be coming across a programming language. So if that is going to be the case, if we start learning a programming language from Python, okay, by taking Python into account, it will be more easy for us to work out stuffs to learn. It will be more easy for you to learn and understand the structures and features of a programming language. So we generally say Python is beginners friendly. Those who are starting up with programming language, Python is beginners friendly. And second important point that I want to quote over here is machine learning. So most of the domains that we are working in today's industry, everything is more or less connected with this concepts of machine learning. So Python has Python has implemented most of the machine learning algorithms in the forms of modules and packages, which can be used by people working in different domains. That is, if they are integrating things with machine learning. So Python is when we focus Python in two ways. As a programmer, if you start if you're from a different discipline, if you're going to start a programming language, Python will be easy to understand. And second point, from the other end, if you are going to work out projects integrating computers with your own domains, then obviously you will go ahead with machine learning processes. So using machine learning is very much comfortable with respect using machine learning, implementing machine learning algorithms and using them from Python perspective is very much easy to use and very much applicable. Okay. And third point is also associated with my previous point. Python supports extensive libraries. Okay, libraries actually means packages, modules which are being built in and they're present in Python. Okay, so if you start up with a project and if you require such a functionality to be integrated into your project, rather than developing that functionality by yourself, you can get that support in the form of libraries when you develop your application using Python. So you're going to develop an application. If you go for Python, and what way it will be supportive, this is the answer. There is no need to write code for each and every functionality. All those functionalities will be already there, residing in the Python support libraries, which can be used by you. And the fourth, wherever we speak about industry 4.0, etc., IoT comes into act. So Raspberry Pi, IoT is also another technology which is extensively supported by Python. So I think these answers are convincing to say that why we have started up this FTP with respect to Python programming. Okay, so now we will directly discuss about certain important features of Python. So we generally define Python as an high level interpreted interactive and object oriented language. So when I say high level, it actually means the code can be written by you and me. So I can use Python to write or develop programs. So since human beings are using it, we say it as a high level language. And interpreted actually means a line by line execution. When I write a code in Python, okay, Python as an interpreter, it will execute line by line. So when I say executing line by line, it actually means if it executes the first line, if there is a mistake, or we will quote it as error over here, if there is an error in your first line, what my Python interpreter will do is it will directly display that error in your output screen. Okay, it will not move towards the next line. It will display this is the error in this line. So it actually means only the first line is being executed by your Python interpreter. Remaining lines are not yet being executed. When it executed the first line, that itself it has found an error. It is reporting to you. So when you work with programming languages, you will come across something called as interpreter and compiler. Okay, interpreter and compilers will come into act when you execute your code. After typing your code, when you execute your code, it will come into act. Compiler, what it will do is it will execute, it will compile all the lines, and finally it will tell you the mistakes, that is the errors. If you take interpreter, it will do line by line execution. It will execute the first line. If there is an error, it will report you. So this can be coded as the practical way of saying the difference between an interpreter and compiler. So whenever we speak about programming language, students will be taught what type of programming language it is, whether it is having an interpreter for execution or whether it is having a compiler for execution. So when it comes to Python, it holds an interpreter. We have Python interpreter. And when we say interactive, interactive actually means if I ask you a question, at once if you give me a reply, that is called as interactive. Okay, so that is what the proper English meaning of interactive. So such kind of mode is available with respect to Python. So we will be discussing that. We will be understanding that in a practical way in the coming session itself. And it supports object oriented concepts, so we call it as an object oriented programming language. So this makes up Python. And to list certain features of Python, as I said earlier, it's a beginner's language. Okay, and the second point is also we have discussed already, it has extensive standard libraries. And when I say interactive mode, again I gave you an explanation. What is meant by interactive? If I ask a question, it replies at once back. You people would have come across chatbots kind of things and all. That is, for example, if you see Cortana or Siri or your Google Assistant, when I ask a question, they reply back. So in the same way, Python supports such a mode. It's not of asking such kind of questions. By typing a single programming line, it replies me at once. So such a feature is available with respect to Python. Okay, so that is called as interactive mode, and it's portable. Portable actually means I am running my computer in Windows. Okay, Windows is my operating system. Okay, if I write a code while sitting in Windows operating system, now I want to run the code in another system which has an OS, Linux, or something else, Linux, Unix, Ubuntu. So different operating systems are there. So it's portable. There is no need to change your code and all. You can as such run it in another system which has a different operating system. So we say it's portable. Then extendable. Extendable actually means if we say that I want to write a code, I'm writing a code in Python language, and it will be easy for me to convert that into a C, C++ code. Okay, so I can even run Python codes in C, C++ language with certain modifications. So we say it is extendable. And finally, this is one of the biggest feature of Python. It supports both database and GUI programming. So GUI programming actually means graphical user interface, so user friendly, it will be more user friendly. So that is also possible. That is, it's possible for you to develop applications which requires a database and GUI programming. So these are some of the key points by which we can say Python is a very much popular programming language in today's scenario. Okay, so without other stuffs, we'll move on. Before getting into the fundamentals of Python, I will just give you a reference of how to install Python into your computer. So there are I've just given you the URL over here, and I will request Bhuvan sir to upload the installation procedure. The installation procedure is very simple. If you download this exe file, I have installed Python 3.9. Version is 3.9. Okay, so if you go to this website, you can install Python 3.9 according to your laptop operating system. So what is your operating system? If it is for Windows, it will be available. For Linux, it will be available. For all kinds of operating system, the specific exe file that you need to download is available. After downloading, the installation is very simple. Okay, so after you finish your installation process, uh, if you go type, I'm just showing things from my system. Okay, so Python, if I type Python itself, I can see something called as IDLE over here. Okay, this will get opened after you have finished your installation. Okay, go to your Windows command prompt and type Python. If I type py itself, it will display IDLE Python 3.9. Since my system's architecture is 64-bit, this is what I've installed. Okay, this Python version only I've installed in my system. So this IDLE environment will get opened. So now what I can do is I'll move on with that. I will click it. So whatever that has got opened over here, okay, I'll just show you. This is your Python interactive mode, or we will also say it as ideally shell. Okay, so this is your Python interactive mode. Whatever you see over here, your ideal is your Python interactive mode. So I said, what is the meaning of interactive mode? If I type something, it will at once reply me back. So I'm just typing one over here, so it replies me back as one. It's just echoing whatever I am typing, it's just echoing me back. So when I typed 3.14, it replied 3.14. So if I'm asking it to print, okay, for example, I will just show you an assignment step over here. So I have declared a number. Okay, I'm assigning number value equal to 1. So it has done this assignment. So now if I type number, it will display what? It will display 1. So this mode is called as interactive mode. We will understand later what is the meaning of this number, what is the meaning of this assignment, etc., etc. But I'm just giving you an introduction about this interactive mode. Whatever I give as input, that single line will be taken into account. My Python will execute it at once and it will reply me back. So this mode is called as interactive mode. And Python also has another mode called as script mode. Script mode is where you will actually write your complete code for a program. If a problem statement is being given, you have to take the inputs, you have to write a logic, and you have to end up with your output. Okay, so how you are going to move with your script mode is here. You if you see, one sec. Here, if you see, there is a menu called as file over here. So go to that menu and click new file. Okay, a new file gets opened. Okay, so a new file gets opened. So whatever code that you want to write inside it. Okay, if a problem statement has been given, you will be writing a program over there. So whatever code that you want to write, I'm just writing something I know with respect to Python. Okay, so I have typed a very simple line that I'm asking to print hello world. Okay, I'm asking to print hello world. I think if you're using your mobile phone, you can just you can also enlarge. One sec. I was checking, it's not working for me over here in this environment. One sec. One sec. I'll just show. So here, if you see, I've opened the inbox and I've just written print hello world. Okay, I've just written print hello world. So I'm going to consider this as my program. Okay, so what I have to do next is I have to save this. Okay, I have to save this file since it is a file. I have opened a file. So this file is generally termed as script in Python. Okay, I've opened a script. So I have to go to file and you have an option called as save. Okay, so I'm going to save it. So I can save it anywhere if my installation is going in the correct way. So I have some Python. I have a folder called as programs over here. So I will give the name as sample, and I have to put a dot, and all Python files should be extended with a term called as py. So here, if you see, so how I've saved my file, sample.py. So here you can see it. I've saved it as sample.py. So whatever script that you are writing, when you put save as, you have to save the file with an extension .py. Okay. If .py actually refers, it's going to be a Python file. So now I'm saving it. Okay, so after saving it, I can proceed with the process of running it. Okay, so how do I run my code? Again, I will just show you and then I will proceed. So here you have a icon in your menu called as run. So I can use this to execute my code. So run module. Okay, so what happened? My output is displayed in the interactive screen in the shell. Okay, so here if you see, your output got displayed in your interactive screen. So what was my program? I was just printing hello world. That hello world got printed over here. Okay, so these are the two modes of Python which you can work and see. Okay, so to understand Python programming language, if you have installed Python, you can use these two modes. Okay, so if you want to just check out very simple concepts of Python, you can use your interactive mode. When you move on with writing programs for problem statements, then you can use the script mode over here. Okay, hope I'm understandable what you have to do with respect to interactive mode and what you did with respect to script mode. Okay, so other than this, I would like to introduce another uh, editor with respect to Python is called as Python Tutor. There are many Python online Python editor is available. So among that, Infosys has introduced this Python Tutor. I will just show how it will look like. Okay. So one sec. So if you go to your browser and type Python Tutor. So if you type Python Tutor, the first web page itself will get ended up with Python Tutor. So here, if you click Python Tutor, the Python editor, that is the Python interpreter, is getting opened over here. So this is the place where I can write my code. Okay, this is online. Python Tutor is an online Python editor, which can also be, that is, if you don't have an idea of installing your Python into your system, you can work with these kind of editors too. Okay, so if I, what is the speciality of this Python tutor is, it provides it will provide execution, and it is possible for you to visualize the execution. So I have just typed two statements. I'm just typing print hello and print world. Okay, print hello and print world. I have typed two statements over here. I think you can see. Then if I click execute visualized execution, so what happens over here is, here both of the lines will be displayed. Okay, clear. So line that just executed, so now we have not yet executed any line, so no green. So red implies the line next line to be executed. So the first line is having this red arrow mark, so that is the line that is going to get executed. So when it will get executed is, here you have a set of buttons: first, previous, next, and last. Okay, so if I click next, the first line will get executed. So I click next, my first line got executed. So how I can confirm my first line has got executed? The output is printed at this side. Okay, hello is what I asked to print. So that is getting printed over here. Okay, here if you see, hello has got printed over here. Okay, and here you can see this green shows that this line has got executed. So next we have to execute this line. So now I have to click the next. Okay, so again if I click next, the second line will also get executed, and the result world is printed over here. Okay, so this is another online editor which is available called as Python tutor. You can also use this to execute your Python programs. Okay, is it fine? So I have just given you two ways of proceeding with the execution of your Python codes. You can either download Python 3.9 or you can move on with Python tutor. Okay, so now we will start up with the fundamentals, that is basics of Python. Okay, so the first kind of statement that you're going to learn with respect to Python are called as comments. Okay, so what is the meaning of this comment is, whenever you write a code, you always want to document that code. Document that code actually means, for what purpose I have written this code, I should know. Okay, so that documentation is very much needed for each and every code that we develop. So comments are used for documenting the code. So what is the meaning of this comment is, when I open that code, on looking into that comment line, I can understand this is the process that code is going to do. So that should be written by me. If I am implementing a Python code, if I am writing a Python code, I know for what purpose I'm writing it. So I will just comment those stuffs. Whatever work I'm going to do, I can make it as a part of my code. Okay, but one condition is, these lines should not be executed by my Python interpreter. Why it should not be executed by my Python interpreter? Because I would have written that in a normal English language, a sentence. Okay, a sentence or a paragraph that makes me to understand the code that is following next. Okay, so for that purpose, we will be using comments, and comment lines will never get executed by your Python interpreter. So you have to tell the Python interpreter how to identify a comment line. Okay, so first we will see, if there is going to be, you're going to write only one line for a comment. Okay, a one comment line, single comment line. What is the symbol that we have used over here is hash. Okay, clear. So when I move on, let me show it. For example, I've already written a program to print hello world. So if I put a hash and I said this program is used to print hello world. So I've written one line of content. Okay. So I have mentioned this as a comment line of my program through how? By starting it with a hash symbol. Okay, by starting it with a hash symbol, I am telling that this program, this is the comment line of this program. So hence the Python interpreter should not execute this line. Okay, இங்க நான் ஒரு hash first போட்டிருக்கேன். Hash க்கு அப்புறம் தான் நான் வந்து uh, I've started up with my line. So this hash actually means that this is a comment line. Okay, so all the content is showing in red. So when I execute this program, the first line will never get executed by the by your Python interpreter since it's a comment line. The execution starts from the second line. So this will not be visible in your output too. So if I execute this program, I've made a modification. So I'll press Control S to save it. So now if I run this module, it will again display only hello world because comment lines are not executed. They are just for our reference. They act as the documentation of my code. So when I open that code, I can understand what has taken place in that code. So this is for one line. Okay, so if I want to have a comment line with multiple lines, I have to introduce just this is a program, okay, for for printing. I'm just writing hello world. So I'm writing the content in two lines. Okay, so if this is going to be the case, what is my, if I want to write a documentation for multiple lines, it's not about single line, it's about multiple line. Okay, so if I want to, if my comment is going to be of multiple lines, then what I will do is three times I have to put the quote symbols. I have to begin with three quote symbols, then followed by the documentation. Then I have to end up with three quotes symbols. So this will also not be executed by your Python interpreter and only print hello world. So again, if I press Control yes and run this program, so hello world alone will get displayed. Remaining stuffs will not be executed by your Python interpreter and they will be treated as the documentation of your code. Okay. So other than this part, this is the stuffs with respect to comments. Okay, I just want to speak about something else called as multiple line statements. That is when you work in either an interactive mode or script mode. Okay, so in a previous class we discussed about something called as expressions. We know what is an expression. You have many number of operations involved, operations which has operands and operators that makes up an expression. Okay, if your expression is going to be too long, expression na நம்ம எழுதுற formula we call it as expression. Okay, so if that expression is very big, okay, we have to go ahead with multiple lines to complete that expression if that is going to be the case. Okay, so for example, I'm just giving you an example. I want to find out result. Okay, so result is equal to 2 into 5 plus 9. So this is my expression 2 into 5 plus 9. This is a simple expression, but generally I'm speaking about expression that are very big. Okay, so for time being, I've just given you a very simple expression, but how I have written this expression, this assignment process in two lines. Okay, in line 1 I have result is equal to 2 into 5 and in line 2 I have 9. So if I write a code like this in Python, it is completely wrong. Okay, so now the question is, if I have an expression which is too big, okay, but I want to write it in two lines, I cannot write it in a single line. So what I can do, I need some sort of solution in Python. So what I can do is simply, after you end up one line, you put a backslash. Okay, here if you can see what I've done, I have introduced a backslash. So 2 plus 3 multiplied by 7 plus 8, I've introduced a backslash, and then again my expression continues multiplied by 9 plus 10. So now if I try to execute such a statement in Python, whether it's going to be in interactive mode or in your Python script, it is acceptable. So this is not acceptable, this is acceptable. So this means Python interpreter will know that still the expression is continuing in the next line. This is one way of going ahead with multiple line statements. And third, another way is also possible. Okay, another way is also possible. In what way I can say is, I can open a bracket at the beginning. Okay, so 2 into 4 into, still I need another component called as 4. Okay, so if I have not closed my opened bracket in my first line, okay, if I have not closed the corresponding closed bracket in my first line, still it means that my expression is continuing in the second line. Python interpreter can understand that the expression is continuing in the second line and it will accept it. It will not show you an error. So this kind of writing an expression in multiple lines is possible. And when I use open brackets. Okay, this is round brackets. All kinds of brackets is acceptable in this stage, whether I'm going to put curly braces or whether I'm going to put square bracket. Okay, we will come across scenarios where in Python where we will be using square brackets and curly brackets. We will understand that later. So that is also fine when it comes to multiple line statements. Okay, so this is I hope you can work it out and see by yourself. It's not, it will be easy since we have a little time. I'm moving a little bit fast. Okay, so if I want to write multiple lines of statements, a single expression is going to be written in two lines. Then both the next two, both tick marks way of doing it is correct. I cannot do like this. Okay, so this is with respect to comments. So if I want to document my code, I can use single line as well as multi-line using hash and triple quotes. Okay, so next we will move on with the because I told you, if I want to derive a solution of a problem, there are three important aspects: input, process, that is your logic, and the output. Okay, so now we are going to work out with the programming language. Whatever we wrote as display, okay, whatever in previous sessions we wrote pseudocodes. In those pseudocodes, we had a keyword called as display, which actually indicated that that is the output of your problem. Okay, that is the output of your problem. So here, when I'm working with a programming language, okay, output is one which should get displayed on the screen for the user. Okay, if I'm executing a code, I need the output get printed on the monitor. Okay, so in the same way, when I wrote a program to print hello world, in my interactive mode, hello world got displayed. Okay, so for that purpose in Python, we have a built-in function called as print. Okay, your print statement is generally used to display output on the screen of the user. Okay, so I will just make you understand this in your interactive mode. We will work it out in interactive mode. So print is a built-in function. So the keyword for this print statement is print. நீங்க print F4 print எல்லாம் அப்படிலாம் போடக்கூடாது. You have to just write print print. So it's been shown in violet color. No, it actually means it's a built-in function. Then you have to open. Okay, so whatever content that you want to print, okay, if it is going to be a text, okay, if it should be printed as a text, you have to give it within double quotes. So how I gave hello world, I won't say this as text. I will say this as a string. Okay. So whenever I want to print a string on my output screen, I have to enclose them within double quotes. So now what happened? Hello world will get printed as such. Okay. Similarly, I can ask them to print one. One is what? One is actually a, what is one? One is actually a, you people know one. I'm asking a very
It's a
it's a number.
numeral
Yes,
that we
that's
use.
it. It's one. It's a number. So if I say print one, one will get printed. If I say print 3.14, okay, 3.14 is actually a decimal value. Okay, so 3.14 will get printed as such. So here, if you see, you can see it. Okay, so I whatever I'm asking to print, it is printing that value. For example, if I want to print all these values together, I want to print hello world. I just want to use only one print statement to print all these stuff. So what I can do over here is I can just put print, okay, within double quotes. I will write hello world, comma, then I can put. So comma is a separator which can be used, okay, to I won't say concatenate. Okay, you're not concatenating over here, to display more number of results rather than one output. I want to display more number of outputs in my screen. I can just put a comma mark for my print statement. So hello world comma 1 comma 3.14. so now if I say it is printing all the three values over here. So hello is printed, world is printed, one is printed, 3.14 is also printed over here. Okay. In the same way, this is when I look into all these values, hello world, 1, 3.14, they are directly connected with the data. It is I can say first one is a string. I can say one as an integer, a number, and 3.14 is a decimal value. And I can say that as in programming language, we will mean that as floating point numbers. We will call them as floating point numbers. One is an integer and hello world is a string. Okay, so these are direct values. Okay, they are direct values. In a similar way, when you work it over here, you can also assign these values into certain variables. For example, I have a variable called as, I'm just declaring, I just want to get two numbers and I want to add it. Okay, I'm doing everything in the interactive mode. I can write it also, write this as a code also, but just for understandability of print statement, I'm just writing it on this interactive mode itself. Okay, so I want to get two numbers as input and I want to print the summation of those two numbers. So what I can do is I will give a name to my first number as num1 is equal to 12. I'm assigning a value. My Python interpreter will accept it. Then I'm taking, we will understand this in a more clear way in the coming session itself. So num2 is equal to, as what we do in mathematics, I'm doing it over here. We will give x1 value, we will give y1 value, then we will apply a formula. In the same way, num1 is taking a value 12, num2 is taking a value 15. Okay, now I want to print the sum of the both. So how I can print, I can say sum of num1. I'm just typing whatever I'm typing within double quotes, it will be printed as such, num1 and num2. Okay, sum of num1 and num2. I've just printed this comma. If I want to get the summation value, what I need to do, what operation I need to do? The question is very simple. I have to do the operation called as addition. Okay, plus, so num1 plus num2. So if I give, it's giving me the result. Okay, what it is saying, the sum of num1 and num2 colon, I've told it to print it as such colon, it will sum up the value of num1 and num2 and it will display that as 27. Okay, am I clear? So print statement can also be used in this way. It's not that you can print only constants, you can say them as constants. They, hello world 1 3.14 can be treated as constants because they are direct value. But here in this case, in the second case, what we did is we assigned a value to a name that is called as num1, num2. We generally term them as variables. Okay, we assigned a value to a variable and then we summed up the variable and we have got the result. Okay, is it clear? So this is how we will be using, that is whenever we want to display output on the screen, we will be using the statement called as print for that purpose. Okay, so whatever we have discussed, these are being shown as examples over here. Okay, so now I will move on with the uh, I'm putting it again, a solution of a problem has three aspects: input, process or logic, and third one is output. So we have discussed, we have completed our discussion with respect to Python programming language of displaying an output. So if you are being asked to write a code, you people now know how to print the result. Okay, so now I will move on with the one sec. There was a power cut at my area. One sec. I'll join with my mobile later. Sorry for the interruption. I had a power cut at my area. So I'm now joining with my Mobile data. I'll just press end. Okay. Is my screen visible and am I audible? Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
So we will move on with the next aspect of our solution, that is user input. So when I say input, input can be of two kinds. Input that can be directly mentioned in your code. For example, we took that number of flights. We had a problem statement like how to calculate the number of flights that are standing in the airport. So where we directly assigned a value that at the start of the day, this much number of flights are standing in the airport, which was equal to 100. So that assignment was a direct assignment. Okay, so that values, that kind of inputs can be given inside your program. And in the same way, you can also, okay, in most situations you have to get the inputs from the user. There will be a necessary for you to get the input from the user through keyboard. Okay, so that is the built-in function in Python, uh, which is going to be used to get the inputs from the user through keyboard, is called as input statement. Okay, the statement is called as input. Displaying the output, the statement is called as print. Okay, in Python, to get input from keyboard from the user, if I want to get an input, that statement that we use over here is called as uh, input. Okay, so I'll directly get into the point of teaching it directly. Okay, so here if you see this, in this hello world program, num1 num2 program over here. So I will write num1 is equal to, okay, input. Okay, I have to make you understand. So let me move on with another example. For example, I want to get the values of your name. Okay, I want to get your name from keyboard. I want to get your age, and I want to get your height, and I want to display it on the screen. Okay, I'm putting this example to understand user input. So I will take the name to be name. Okay, I'm declaring a variable called as name, into which I'm going to get the user input. Okay, so what input will be got by the user over here? I will just say input is my function name, is my built-in function, into which am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, there was a problem on my side. I'm sorry. Okay, so user input again. I'm moving. So I'll show you the output, whatever that we have worked out over here. So if I save this, I can save it using Control S. Now I will run this code. When I run this code, what happens? You can see it's asking for enter your name. Okay, so it's asking for enter your name. So I can write my name, for example, Sorna. It's asking for enter your age. Now I can give any values over here. Okay, and now if you see for the third time, since I have not since I have not written any string enclosed within my input statement, it is just blinking over there. Okay, it is just blinking. If it is blinking, it actually means it is asking input from me. So I'm giving the height as 154.3, something like this. Okay, so it has I've just got the inputs. I've used my input statement alone in my program. So if I try to print all these values, I'm using the print statement over here. So print name comma age comma height. Okay, I've just included the print statement into this. If I'm again running my saving my program, and if I run my module, okay, so it will ask for my name. I will give my name and my age. Then I will give my height. So now it has printed. So it has printed all those three values. Okay, so I've also told one more statement in my PPT that all inputs got from the user are treated as strings. So whatever that you have got as input, what values you got as input, you got Sorna is actually a name. Then I gave a value called as 35. 35 actually means my age. Okay, so 35 is a number in that case, and the third value is my height, which is 154.3. So 154.3 is actually a floating point value. Okay, but at this stage, how my Python will actually interpret all these values is what I have to know. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to find out, okay, what is the type of all these three values. In Python there is a uh, function called as type. Okay, type. So type of name I'm giving. Okay, and then I'm asking print type of, you will understand, type of age. Okay, so I'll just do finish it with this two. So type of age, type of name. So according to me, according to my understandability, my and your understandability, we will think name will be considered as a string and age will be considered as an integer. Okay, because we gave the value 31 for age and we gave the value sorry, 35 for name. So accordingly we will think age will be considered as a number, but that is not the case. Whatever we get as input from keyboard, all the values will be considered as strings only. So now if I execute, so what I'm using over here, run. If I run this, control yes. If I run this code, it'll again ask me for values. Sorna, 35, 154.3. Okay, so what is being shown as output over here? Type is a function which will tell, okay, the class of that data. So Sorna I've got from Sorna is a value I've got through keyboard. I've got it through my input function. Similarly, age is a value which I've got through my input function. So whatever value that I get through my input function will be treated as a string only. Okay, so the class of age as well as Sorna, okay, is being given as string over here. Okay, since I've got those values through my input function. Okay, through my input function, understand that. Now for example, if I ask, if I'm in the interactive mode, I'm using this type function. So type of one, if I give, it's giving the class what. This is not a part, the input function is never associated over here. So when I gave type of one, my Python is automatically saying one is an integer, so it will return a class int. Similarly, if I put type of 3.14, okay, it will return a class called as float. It's a floating point number, so it's returning a class float. So but whatever value that I'm getting through my input function, everything will be treated as an integer value. Okay, so you people have to know if the age value should be treated as a number. When I got through my input function, it is considered as a string. But when I work out with those values, I have to convert them into a number. So how do I do it? We have to know that. We will be seeing that soon. So I think I will go ahead with that now. Okay. So these are the basics, whatever I have taught. That is the and the fundamental components of Python. There are four fundamental components of Python called as identifier, variables, data types, and operators. So these are the fundamental components of Python. Okay. So to start up with, we will move on with the discussion of identifiers. So identifiers are actually the name that we try to give to anything in your program. Okay, so whatever is being there in your program, if you want to give a name to it, we call them as identifiers. Okay, so it will actually help you to refer an item in your program. If there is an item in your program, if you want to refer it, you need a name for it. So that name is generally termed as identifier. So you have some norms to write an identifier. An identifier can start with an underscore. Okay, you can start it with an uppercase or lowercase alphabet. Okay, but you can never start with a digit, and you can have the digits in between. Okay, and the identifiers are case sensitive, and they will never match keywords. When I say identifiers should not have keywords now, for example, I taught you something called as while, if else, for, and all these can be termed as keywords associated with a specific language. So your identifiers, the name that you try to give, இப்ப நான் வந்து கொடுத்தேன்ல, name is equal to, that name is being termed as an identifier. Okay, so that identifier cannot be a keyword. That's the point over here. So I have given you two examples over here to say bill underscore id can be treated as an identifier, underscore bill id 1 can also be treated as an identifier. So now there is a large connectivity between identifier and variables. What are variables on what is meant by variable now? An identifier for the data, and it holds data in your program. Okay, so variable is actually the identity that you give to your data that you're going to use in your program. For example, I'm asking you to get two numbers as input, and I'm asking you to display the output, the addition of those two numbers. Okay, so to get those two numbers, number 12 is one value, 12 is one value, 15 is one value. So I need an identifier which is being termed as a variable. So I need a variable to store 12, and I need a variable to store 15. Okay, so actually variables are nothing but the name that you give to your data. So the name that is being given to your data, okay, through that name you will actually locate the memory location of that data. So whatever that data that we give into a computer will go get stored into a memory. So each and every memory will be associated with an address. So as human beings, we cannot refer those address or keep those address in our minds. Okay, it's not easy for us to remember a phone number, but it is easy for us to remember a name. Okay, so variables are in the form of names, so that it is easy for us to locate the memory of that data. So if I give the value 12, 12 go get stored in the memory. Okay, so rather than referring the value 12 using its memory address, I am giving a name, a is equal to 12. So if I put print a, the value 12 will get printed. So 12, what I can say as variables is, variables is the name through which we actually hold the data in the program. And why we say this as variable is because its value can change accordingly inside your program. Okay, at one point it will be holding a value 12, and at the another point of your program it can change a value to 15. Okay, so it is possible for you to change the value of the variables, so we call it as variables. Okay, so variables, if you see, variables can be of different kinds. That's been shown as example over here. So already I've shown you num1 is equal to 12, num2 is equal to 15. So num1 is a variable which is holding the data 12, and num2 was a variable which was holding the data 15. Okay, so those twos are integer data. So integer data can be stored into a variable. Similarly, string values can be stored into a variable. Okay, so name and நம்ம ஒரு variable declare பண்ணோம் in the previous program. So that is a string value. Okay, so all the Python, if you see, supports many kinds of data. For example, it supports integer data, it supports string data, it supports floating point data, it supports complex numbers, and it also supports Boolean values that we will see next. Okay, so these are the six dimensions that are associated with variable. If time permits, I will teach this alone in your next class. Okay, these are theoretical part. I'll move on with the other stuffs. Okay, so the next important fundamental component with respect to Python is called as data types. Okay, so these are the data types that are supported by your Python language, that is integer, float, text, and logical. So under integer type you have your integer and complex. So integer numbers are normal numbers from 1 to a complete range, 675. And complex numbers, we know in mathematics we used to have complex numbers. 2 plus 5i is a complex number. So in this way also we can use numbers. Floating point is a number which is having some decimal point inside it, so that is called as floating point number. Textual, string, textual is being represented with a data type name called as string. For example, Infosys is a string. And Boolean is a logical kind of data, so it can take only two values, true and false. Okay, so these are the different types of different data types that is available with respect to Python. So I want to insist one point over here is Python supports dynamic typing. Dynamic typing actually means, to make you understand what is meant by dynamic typing, I'll just show you. So here if you see, I'm putting a is equal to 12. So now if I print a is 12, and if I say type of A, it will show me integer. Okay, so I have not for example, if you take C language, if I want to declare a variable, I have to put A. 12 is an integer, so A will be treated as an integer value. Now again, if I'm changing the value of A to hello, so now if I type A, what it prints hello. So now if I ask what is the data type of A, it will say string. So earlier the data type of A was integer. Okay, here if you see the data type, when I gave passed on the value 12 for A, the type of A was integer. Now when I tried with I changed the value to hello. Now I tried, it became string. Okay, so this is called as dynamic typing. Dynamically, by assigning different values to a variable, the type can also be changed with respect to Python. In Python, it is possible. Okay, fine. So next, I will move on with the discussion of certain built-in functions. Now I told when I am getting input from the user, all the inputs will be treated in the form of a string. Okay, but for my usage, for example, I want to write a code. Okay, which is going to get two numbers as input, num1 okay. So when I get this input, my num1 value will be the value that I get will be a strings. I cannot apply this and if I give num2 is equal to 15, what is the answer that I expect over here? I want 12 to be added to 15 and I want the resultant to be 27. That is what I actually want. Okay, but that won't be possible here. Why it is not possible? Because num1 will be treated as a string and num2 will also be treated as string over here. So to convert the string value to its corresponding required data type, what I need is Python supports a collection of built-in functions for that purpose. Okay, so you have a function called as int. Okay, so in the int function, நான் ஒரு string pass பண்ணனா it will convert that to an integer. Whatever I pass it will convert that to an integer. இந்த float functionக்கு whatever I pass, what data I pass, it will get converted to float. இங்க நான் என்ன data pass பண்ணாலும் it will get converted to a boolean value. Here if I pass any data it will get converted to a complex value. And for this function if I pass any data it will get converted into a string. So according to our problem statement, what we actually require, we require those values to be converted into integers. Okay, so what I will do is input of will get a value from the keyboard which is of type string. So before this, what I will do is I will enclose this within this int function. Okay, I want to convert them into integers. So int of input of இதை இப்படியும் எழுதலாம். இல்ல உங்களுக்கு இன்னும் தெளிவா புரியணும்னா what I can do is I will write it like this. So input of அப்படின்னு எழுதிட்டேன். இப்போ நான் I'm sorry I gave int over here. Too much of languages, so I got confused. So num1 is equal to, I can write it as input of. Okay, so now whatever value that I've got with respect to num1 will be of type what? Will be of type, whatever value I've got into num1 will be of type what? Will be of type what? I'm asking you a question. Num1 is equal to input of. Num1 is equal to input of. So whatever value that I get from keyboard will be of type what? Be clear, it will be of type string. Okay, so whatever value that I get through my input function, everything will be treated as a string. But I want to represent num1 and num2 as integers, so I have to proceed with the conversion. So to proceed with the conversion, what I can do is num1 is equal to, okay, I can even have another variable or I can have the same variable too. So for your understandability, I'm writing in this way. So num1 is equal to int of. So int is a function which will convert. In this case, it's going to convert num1 is a string. So num1 is a string. It will be converted into an integer. Again, it is going to get stored into num1. So int front line close பண்ணிடுவேன். So int of input 1, you can write it in this way. It will be easy. So int of inside int, I will put input function. That's enclosed the input function. So now what happens over here? Python interpreter will get the input through the input function, which will be in the form of a string. இப்போ நான் வந்து 12ன்ற இன்புட்டை கீபோர்ட் வழியா கொடுக்குறேன்னு நினைச்சுக்கோ. அந்த 12 என்னவா இருக்கும்? ஸ்ட்ரிங்கா இருக்கும். இப்போ அந்த ஸ்ட்ரிங்கை நம்ம எதுக்கு பாஸ் பண்றோம்? இன்ட் ஃபங்க்ஷனுக்கு பாஸ் பண்றோம். ஸோ இன்ட் ஆஃப் தட் ஸ்ட்ரிங், int function will convert that into a number. Okay, so string la irundha ada type it will convert the type to int, integer convert பண்ணிடும். Okay, so now if I proceed with the process of summing this up, okay, so I will just print the sum of sum is colon. Okay, so I will close this comma num1 plus num2. Okay, so if I execute this program now, if I give run, so it will ask me for the input. So I will give 12, I will give 14, it will give the sum is 26. So why it is giving the sum is 26? Why it is possible? Why it was made possible? Only because of converting those strings. இப்போ நான் வெறும் 12 14 அப்படியே இன்புட் வச்சு கொடுத்து இன்ட் கொடுக்காம அப்படியே வச்சிருந்தேன்னா என்ன ஆயிடும்னா 12 14 கன்கார்டினேட் ஆகி plus symbol will concatenate and my result will be 12 14 1214 1214 வந்து ஆன்சரா டிஸ்பிளே ஆயிருக்கும். எப்போ நான் இன்ட் ஃபங்க்ஷன் யூஸ் பண்ணலனா, நான் இன்ட் ஃபங்க்ஷன் யூஸ் பண்ணதுனால அந்த நம்பரை 12ன்ற ஸ்ட்ரிங்கை 12ன்ற நம்பரா கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணிடுச்சு, 14ன்ற ஸ்ட்ரிங்கை 14ன்ற நம்பரா கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணிடுச்சு. Then it has performed the addition 12 plus 14, the resultant is 26. So it is possible for me to print. Because why I'm emphasizing these built-in functions as of now is when you work the programs in your laboratory, you require them. You need to get a number from the keyboard. Okay, there will be a necessity for you to get a floating point number, a boolean number. So நம்ம யூசர் கிட்ட இருந்து வாங்கின இன்புட் அப்படியே வச்சு ப்ராசஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. We have to convert them into their respective data types. So for that purpose, we require all these built-in functions. Hope this is clear. Okay, so now I have some simple codes to show you. I thought of working it out. Since we are running out of time, I'm showing these codes directly. Okay, so this is in our previous session we discussed about two pseudocodes, how to convert the number of days into number of seconds. So here this is a very simple program without using user input. So these two codes have not used user inputs over here. So what we have done, we have declared a variable called as number of days, that is equal to 10. Then we have declared another variable called number of seconds, into which we are storing our output. So 10 into 24 into 60 into 60. Then finally you have printed the result. Okay, so double quotes la enna enclose பண்ணிருக்கியோ that will be displayed as such, and comma போட்டு we have written the variable num underscore of underscore seconds. So இங்க என்ன value கிடைச்சதோ that value will get printed over here. When I execute this code, that value will be printed. Similarly, we also wrote a program to find the flights in the airport. Okay, so flights in the at present time, what is the number of flights that are standing in the airport? For that also we wrote a program. So here if you see, we have taken all the three values from the keyboard from the user. So start day over here in flights, start day in the airport, how many flights are standing at present. So that is being taken as the input from the user. So I have converted that into a number using my in function. Similarly, takeoff, I need this value from user. How many flights landed? I want this value from the user. So this is the variable final result. So what is the formula we did in the pseudocode? Same formula. In flights is the starting number of flights plus landed flights I've added minus takeoff flights. Okay. So finally you are printing. What I need to print? RES underscore fly is the value that I want. So the number of flights are RE underscore fly. So these are very simple codes which has used only direct assignments, no keyboard. There is no user input from in the first program, and in the second program, we have got user inputs from the keyboard and we have shown it. Okay, so I think we are running out of time. If possible, I think I have already introduced four operators to you. Three operators to you already: arithmetic operators, relational operators, and logical operators. Okay, so Bhuvan is there? Bhuvan sir,
Yes, ma'am.
Bhuvan sir, they have to proceed with their
Yes, ma'am.
laboratory.
They got some
In
separate
the
link.
other operators based on, do
Yeah,
you have problems today?
they got some separate link for a lab session, ma'am.
Leila, do we have problems related to other?
No, no, ma'am.
They can move to lab session, but
Yeah,
this I can continue in tomorrow's class.
they can move on to lab
Okay.
session.
Okay. Okay, teachers. I think you can move with your laboratory session. So this operators part, I will be discussing it tomorrow with you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Other or you can move on to your, you can proceed moving on with your laboratory session where you will be having your teachers to support you. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you.